what advice would you give migrants that aspire to become leaders like you or that aspire to make a change in this world?
My advice would be to believe in yourself. Surround yourself with people who also believe in your magic.
Ooh.
Don't be afraid to be challenged, but also challenge other people and their perceptions of who you are or where you need to be. And be really bold in your endeavor. If you really believe in something, commit to it wholeheartedly. You might not see the results in the first year, the second year, but you will reap the benefits both personally and professionally. And if you really believe in what you're doing and you stick to your purpose, you will live a fulfilled life. So absolutely, any door that is closed is bound to be open at some point with your, if you're very
Mhm.
persistent.
Thank you.
So, yes, believe in yourself above all else and surround yourself with people who also believe in your magic.
Honestly, never mind. See me, it never mind. Honestly, never mind.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Migrant Moods podcast. You're already aware that this podcast is being produced by a charity organization called We Belong. The mood word for today's episode is actually grateful because we're actually feeling very grateful for this charity and because it's an organization that made myself and the rest of the core group feel a strong sense of belonging. We're really excited to tell you more about it so you can really understand why it's so amazing, why it's so important to us. So today I have one of the other core group members, and she's from Manchester. So I have Amina here with me today. If you had listened to the last episode, she's one of the core group members that myself and Milana interviewed, as well as Toby. So Amina is here with me today to co-host. So Amina, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Amina. I'm also a member of the girl group. I'm excited to be here today. So we've got Chrisann on the podcast. The theme and the episode is all about We Belong, and who's better to speak about We Belong better than Chrisann, who's the CEO and the founder of We Belong. So Chrisann, welcome.
Hello, and thank you, Amina and Abdullahi. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. So, as Amina just said, I am Chrisann Jarrett and I am the CEO of We Belong, actually co founding We Belong in 2019, but been the sole CEO since 2021 September.
So what is We Belong and what does it mean to you?
We Belong is really somewhere you can find friendship and you can find a common cause amongst people with a common experience. I think for a lot of people, it's a
Mm.
hub of support. It is a place where you come to terms with some of the things that you've gone through, which you find difficult to explore and speak about in other kind of venues or other communities. It's really inclusive. And what does it mean to me? I think We Belong is a combination of my years of interest in changing systems that do not work for the people that it's meant to work for. It also means to me a place that I could also launch ideas and see where other things could be changed by working together with others.
That I can highly agree to that. We belong. It for me. It's like it's a space where I can like freely express myself, knowing that I'm not alone in my journey. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
so, my next question is, what are you most proud of as a CEO of We Belong?
I think the main thing for me that I'm most proud of with We Belong is that we continue to be a beacon of light within the sector. We're one of the few organizations that is youth migrant led, and we really genuinely invest in lived experience activism and provide a platform for people who already have a voice. Because I don't believe that the organization gives people a voice because people already have that. It's simply because of their experiences that they felt muzzled and unable to kind of speak out. But I'm most proud of the fact that We Belong has provided a platform for people to voice their issues and concerns, but also be a part of the change that they want to see. In
Mm.
addition to that, I think, as you all know, I studied law at university and I'm really interested in in systems change and policy change. So one of the things I'm most proud of as of today is the fact that over the last 4 years, we've led a campaign calling for a shorter route to settlement. And last year, we won that. And this year, June, was the 1 year anniversary of us putting forward that win. And so it's really beneficial because it impacts not only our staff members, our core group members, wider network, but also thousands and thousands of young people that we're yet to meet.
Great. Thank you, Chrisann. And I definitely it's really amazing to kind of hear how much you've done as a CEO and how much We Belong has grown, because I can definitely, and Amina as well, we can definitely attest to it, because every time we have a gathering or I come to the office, it makes me feel like I belong, and I get very excited and happy every time I do stuff with We Belong, because We Belong is an organization that, being a migrant myself, that I've been looking for since I've been in the immigration system, and so I finally found an organization like We Belong, and it's a migrant youth led as well. I'm just so grateful to you and the rest of the team and to the core group members, because you guys do amazing stuff, and I really love how you and the rest of the team really champion for young migrants and ensuring that our voices are heard. So thank you very much. So guys, before we continue with Chrisann, we just wanted to quickly promote a new campaign that we're doing, so called Out of the Loop. So with the campaign, we're really trying to get the immigration minister's attention, so Robert Jenrick, to eventually, hopefully, have a meeting with him and to really persuade him and the rest of the Home Office as to why a fee waiver should be introduced for indefinite leave to remain applications. So if anyone is interested in signing the letter to Robert Jenrick, so please email info@webelong.org.uk explaining why you'd like to add your signature to the letter. Also, as Chrisann has previously mentioned, last month actually made it a year ago that We Belong won the campaign for a 5-year route for young migrants. Check out a new video that actually explains the new We Belong campaign, Out of the Loop, and why you should be joining us in getting a few young migrants eligible for indefinite leave to remain. So, Chrisann, I'm going to ask you another question. So, what has been the highest and lowest point of your career, not only as a CEO, but as a campaigner and young migrants' rights activist?
I think personally, the highest point of my career was definitely in 2019 when I was invited to the United Nations in New York to give a 10-minute address to the dignitaries there and the delegates. And it was really scary because initially, when they sent me the invitation, I thought, wait, they'd made a mistake. Surely Sadiq Khan should be going to this, because I was seconded to the Greater London authorities at the time. But I prepared, and basically, what they wanted to know was how young people should be involved in the development of policy around migration and governance. And so it was testament to how far Let Us Learn at the time, and then
Right.
kind of We Belong projections would happen. But it was 2019, it was quite scary because it was the kind of biggest break that I'd had. And the room, I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen the UN and the
Yeah,
main
I always get terrified.
room. It is humongous. And you have to speak really slowly because people are coming from all over the world, and English is not necessarily the first language, and neither should it be. It's a very diverse forum. And so that was the highlight of my career. And I was actually supported by one of We Belong's funders who decided to attend with me. And he listened to my speech in different formats
Wow.
and different ways. So that I felt really supported. And that was the highest point of my career because we had Let Us Learn banner at the time as the title just right in front of me, so you could see that around the world.
Wow, that's amazing, and it's really really nice to kind of hear how not only how terrified you were, but how you overcame it and really promoted Let Us Learn at the time. So the other part of the question was, what would you say is being the lowest point of your career?
I think it must have been, there was a period of time where I just felt like, is this going to work, and are we going to get what we are asking for? And I would say it came ahead in 2018 onwards to 2020. And that was because of the breaking of the Windrush scandal.
Yeah.
it was the
Mm.
lowest point of my career because I felt, wow, if they could treat people that are British like this, how on earth would they treat me and the young people at We Belong, who at the time weren't yet British, because we were still fighting for our precariousness to be removed. And so it was the lowest point of my career because I felt like if the government could allow this to happen, surely then they would overlook people like us and other
Right.
groups, and it would be of a detriment. So it was the lowest point, I would say, of my career, just not knowing how to
Mhm.
respond. But the community of We Belong really did help with finding our feet and deciding to strategize and how best to achieve our goals.
Thank you. And
So,
definitely for me, like
um,
it's really like amazing to hear how, as a CEO, kind of your struggles and how kind of like how you continue to elevate from them and from the 2018 and the Windrush scandal, kind of to see how we've like moved from then until like now and continue to see migrants continue to fight. It's definitely like great concern. So like thank you. It's really amazing to hear that. So thank you. My other question was, so we know that We Belong provides a lot of opportunities for young migrants. Can you tell us and our listeners in a bit more detail as to what other opportunities are there for young people to know?
We provide quite a few different things for young people to get involved in. And by the way, it's not unusual for someone who used We Belong services to also then become a staff member. We heavily promote that. So I would say it's job opportunities, the fact that we'd love for people that we've worked with and helped and supported and vice versa. They've supported us to develop our movement to join the staff team. So we really encourage that part. In addition to that kind of paid staff member, we also encourage young people to join our board of trustees so they can be involved in the strategic development of the organization. We also love, and I think the flagship for me is the Emerging Young Leaders Program. It is a wonderful program where you are immersed in your own leadership style and skills. You can't be a leader that emulates anyone else. You can only be someone of your own authentic self.
mm,
And so, really love that. In terms of work experience as well, for the last 3 weeks, we've had over 4 work experience students from around London schools join us. And so that's possible as well. In addition, last but not least, we also have this thing called co-producers. So co-producers are young people who say, I am very busy, Chrisann, but I really am embedded in my community and want to invest in We Belong outreach work, committing up to 3.5 hours of their time. So there's different ways you can get involved in We Belong, depending on what your passions are, and also depending on availability and I guess right to work as well. We didn't want it to just be paid employment that matters, but also co-facilitation
Mhm.
for young people who are still on the journey to getting their status.
amazing. I love the amount of opportunities that We Belong provides. I just love what you guys do, and I'm just grateful that I'm a part of it. I was wondering, how does We Belong prioritize the holistic well-being of migrants, other than providing the programs you mentioned, like work and other opportunities?
One of the key things I'm always wanting to promote is that even though we're an organization that gets things done, we're primarily an organization who cares for our people. And so we promote the holistic well-being of young migrants, including staff members, because we have a generous mental health provision package where we either subsidize fully the mental health kind of therapy and counseling of staff members, but also our younger beneficiaries who are in need of it. In addition to that, I think our model is based upon checking in with people and meeting them where they're at. So I know a lot of you would already know Kimberly and already know Adam, but both of them really work to ensure that young people are okay, that we
Mm.
are listening to their needs and what they require at this specific time. It's not all the time that young people can get involved because of the issues that they're facing. So in promoting the holistic well-being of young people, it's also about asking them, what is it that you need from us as an organization, and us moving our resources to match that if there is a high demand.
Well, great. It's amazing to hear that. So, what are your goals for the? We spoke about We spoke about challenges, highest and lowest. But what are their goals for the next 5 years?
quite a few goals. And I think the main goal is really to implement the new win that we've secured with the policy change. We don't want to be one of those organizations who fight hard for something,
Mhm.
get it, and then ignore the consequences. We want to ensure that we monitor this new win, that young people are regularizing their status, and that young people are also getting permanent residence and soon also citizenship. So we want to activate that change over the next 5 years. Within the next 3 years, we hope to at least reach, engage, and support up to 2,000 young migrants across the UK so that they are able to know what their status is and know what their pathways are. In addition to that, I think lived experience activism is key to We Belong.
Mhm.
I'd love to see more and more young people get involved in our work and our
Right.
activism and the growth of co-produce across London and Manchester. And last but not least, you would, Amina, you're from the Manchester cohort, and Abdullahi, you're from the London cohort.
Right.
But I hope that by 2025, 2026, we're going to have another chapter of We Belong somewhere in this country where we're able to provide place-based activism
Right.
and support at a local basis for young people. So a lot of expansion goals, but also monitoring to ensure that what we fought for is secured over time.
And honestly, like I know, knowing We Belong and being a part of it now, I honestly know We Belong is gonna do it. And like, what I love the most about We Belong is like everyone is a team. There's no difference between staff members and like core group members or co-producers. We're all a team, and like we all really working together to like make We Belong succeed. And I know that the expansion goals are definitely gonna happen, and a lot of young people are definitely going to benefit a lot from it. So my question is, what would you describe your leadership style as, and how did that like help We Belong become what it is today?
I think I medal between a couple different leadership styles. The first one is really participatory in that I like to get people's views before I proceed with a course of action. It's really important as a leader for you to include people along the way, include them in the narrative, include them in the development of the organization. And so I really believe in the participatory model where I consult. Other people would call it a democratic model as
Mhm.
well. In addition to that, I'm quite strategic and solution oriented. So, in terms of my leadership style, I really seek bits of data to understand what is actually happening before choosing the solution or resolution that is needed. And last but not least, I think in addition to that, there's a coaching style to my leadership
Mhm.
where I don't think that all the knowledge that I have in my brain should retain in my brain and
Mhm.
remain there.
Mhm.
It should be shared, and I'm quite generous with my time. I love to see the development in other people. So, for example, with the staff members that I oversee at We Belong, I really focus on their personal and professional
Mhm.
development. What is it that you need? What is stopping you from getting there? And how could I assist as CEO and supervisor of you? So that's a combination of my different styles. There will be times as well, I cannot lie,
Yeah.
Abdullahi and Mina, that I would slightly be dictatorial.
Yeah.
If a decision needs to be
Mhm.
made and made really
Right.
fast, I process information quite quickly.
Mhm.
So I'm very happy, depending on the situation,
Mhm.
to make a decision without consulting if it needs, and it's really urgent.
Right. Thank you. For me, as a migrant, that's something I've always wanted, and I always, because I have a lot of goals myself, I hope to like own my own business one day, and that's something I always wonder. Thank you for being honest about having to sometimes, because I'm very democratic, I'm very nice, so it's really nice to hear, Chrisann, how sometimes you're going to have to be dictative and decisions are going to have to be made. That's something working to learn more of. So it's really kind of like nice to hear how you overcome that in certain situations. So thank you.
Welcome.
So my next question is, so we know that We Belong, as you mentioned, became a charity in 2019. Can you tell us and our listeners more about the process of registering it? Like, who chose the name We Belong?
Okay, so I would love to sit here and say I chose the name We Belong, but I absolutely did not. Our comms consultant Fiona chose it. But the reason why it resonated so much is it's because it's what we were calling for. We were just calling for this country that is our home to be our home, not only in our minds, but in actuality in our paperwork. so that we can truly belong. So the name encapsulates everything, but I definitely didn't choose it, but we'll keep ringing it in the ears of everyone. In terms of becoming a charity in 2019, it was the longest process that I'd ever
Wow.
experienced. The thing is, We Belong obviously was developed from
Yeah.
Let Us Learn, which I founded back in 2014. And so we had a track record of impact from 2014 through to 2019. But the actual process for registering We Belong started around 18 months before 2019. We had to develop a business plan, which basically says this is our work and this is what we hope to do, and this is the impact we want to have on society. And we know we can do it, and we're best placed to do it as an organization if we are registered because we've done it already. We had to have fundraising strategy in place. We also had to have a board of governance in place to show that when we do become a formal charity, that we will manage it very well and the governance will be strong. So there were quite a few things that were involved in it. But I think if any person is listening to this podcast right now and wanting to register their charity or a project that they have been doing informally but want to formalize it, I'm very much happy to receive an email on the process because it's very long and convoluted and you'd need a helping hand. There's quite a few documents and quite a few bits of correspondence with the Charity Commission who we have to apply to, but the process was slow. But eventually we did become a charity in June of 2019, and then we kind of spun out and launched from September onwards. But there's quite a few things that is involved in it. Some of it very boring, but also very exciting. As a young Black woman starting out an organization, at the time, it was very exciting to put
Right.
my name to, the mission and the
And I'm
vision.
sure it must have felt like really rewarding and just makes you like feel really good, especially knowing that how much work you've put in as a migrant and then get it to the point of actually having an organization in 2019. I'm sure it must have felt really powerful but also rewarding in the end as well.
It's such a long
Yeah.
process. I'm just shaking my head just hearing that. Um, I was gonna ask, previously We Belong already carried out a lot of successful campaigns. Could you tell us more about them, especially the new win that happened last year? What campaigning and actions led to that?
Yes. So we've carried out quite a few successful campaigns throughout our time and under the kind of label and project of Let Us Learn, which then became We Belong. So 2016, one I will tell you about in terms of the Equal Access to Higher Education campaign. We've been campaigning from 2014 through to 2016 for the Department for Education, but it was previously Business Innovation and Skills Department, to change student finance policy to allow 2,000 young people from migrant backgrounds every year to go to university with a student loan. And we successfully won that in the courts, in the Supreme Court of the UK. And it was a great, great campaign because it was from like three young people in a room to 300 young people talking about how the fact that they had places at university but couldn't go. And but still everyone, despite their experiences, were filled with hope about what could happen if they really took charge of what they were going through and spoke out against it. So I would say that was a brilliant, successful campaign under Let Us Learn. The other successful campaign as well was our scholarships campaign, where we baked mince pies in 2017 and handed them over to vice chancellors up and down London. And that secured over 10 scholarships in the first year. And in the second year, over 25 scholarships under the Sanctuary Scholarships and other scholarships around the UK. Then we started our fees campaign, asking for the Home Office to review the fees. They were then frozen for 2 years, so from 2019 to 2021. And some of the actions that were included was, freeze our fees campaigns outside of 10 Downing Street, where we basically said to the immigration minister at the time, we are not a money tree, so don't expect too much from us. You need to kind of bend the fees or pause them or reduce them. And last but not least, I would say one of my favorite campaigns of all time has been the campaign for Chasing Status, calling for a shorter route to settlement. We've had so many different actions over the years, but one of the actions that stood out to me and reached over 500 members of the public and students was one that we did in 2021 December, where we went out and we asked members of the public to answer questions from the Life in the UK test. And basically, a lot of them didn't have any clue and would definitely not pass the test. And it was really interesting because here you had a lot of British
Yeah,
born people thinking, what is the need to have this stupid test? But it's been forced on people that have been here since they were like 3 years
right.
old or 3 months old who migrated here. So I think that was the funniest thing because it allowed us to have genuine conversations with members of the public, but also to highlight the ridiculousness of the actual life in the UK test for people who've been here for half their lives or more, or people actually, that were born here thinking, surely I wasn't taught this at school, so how would I expect someone else to know this?
Right, thank you. I recently just got the book as well, and I'm reading it, and I'm like, how am I meant to understand this and like pass the test? So it's really like funny but also genuine to kind of hear how the public reacted to it, and also to hear about the campaigns about scholarships as well. And this is why I like continue to say it goes back to our mood word for this episode is being grateful to We Belong, because like you guys like campaigned really hard for migrants to have access to education, and that's something myself, like my family can testify to, because recently I just got offered a sanctuary scholarship to for Greenwich for my masters that I'll be studying later this year. So, and that's all thanks to the work that We Belong has done and continues to do. So, like, thank you, and like myself, and I'm sure the rest of the core group members, we're so grateful to you guys.
Thank you. And exciting times. I can't believe it. It's
I know.
amazing. Well, I can believe it because you deserve that
Thank you.
scholarship. So I can't wait to see you in your next
Thank you.
chapter.
By the way, also, someone just got one as well today, Goldsmiths. So, like, that's what I'm saying.
You got
Yeah, just
exhausted.
today, like at 5 o'clock. So,
Oh my God.
so thank you. Like, that's what I'm saying. But we're so grateful to you and like just the team. Like, you guys kill it. You're just doing amazing things for us. You're making our voices heard, and like you're ensuring that even though we might have certain opportunities blocked, you guys are working really hard to make sure those opportunities are open for us in alternative ways. So thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to know what I was happy for you.
Thank you. So our very last question for you, Chrisann, before we let you go, because we know you're a very busy lady. So our last question is, what advice would you give migrants that aspire to become leaders like you, or that aspire to make a change in this world?
My advice would be to believe in yourself. Surround yourself with people who also believe in your magic.
Ooh,
Don't be afraid to be challenged, but also challenge other people and their perceptions of who you are or where you need to be. And be really bold in your endeavor. If you really believe in something, commit to it wholeheartedly. You might not see the results in the first year, the second year, but you will reap the benefits both personally and professionally. And if you really believe in what you're doing and you stick to your purpose, you will live a fulfilled life. So absolutely, any door that is closed is bound to be open at some point with your if you're very
Mhm.
persistent.
Thank you.
So yes, believe in yourself above all else and surround yourself with people who also believe in your magic.
I totally agree with what Chrisann said. And yeah, that's it from us. Your time is highly appreciated. Thank you so much for joining
Thank you,
us.
Thank
Chrisann.
you so much for arranging and lovely to speak to you both.
So thank you to Chrisann for coming on to the podcast, and like we're so grateful, and we really hope that you guys really enjoyed our answers and been able to get more insight into We Belong and how it became the successful organization that it is today. And we hope that if you're a young person listening, we hope that you are able to come and join us and really just come and find out about the organization and kind of what it is.